I believe it's one of the most intriguing conversation ever. So when we talk about anthropomorphism in AI, what does that exactly mean to you compared to what everyone thinks in the world? What does that come to you as?
Absolutely. Well, the simplest definition of anthropomorphizing is the humanizing. It's
Mhm.
when we humanize, we attribute human qualities, human behaviors, human personalities, and identities to something that is not human. So it can be applied to, and people go, oh yeah, my animals are, and we can apply those qualities to animals, but it goes
Mhm.
beyond that to objects, right?
Mm.
When we actually inanimate objects. So for example, the best examples would be most places in the world refer to, whether it's a car or a bicycle or a boat or something, refer to it as a he or a she.
Oh
They will refer to,
yes.
oh, it's a little sluggish this morning, or
Hmm.
she's a little bit angry with me today.
Yeah.
People,
Hmm.
so it is the humanizing. It is a
Hmm.
projection of human qualities.
Mm. Interesting. Quite a number of examples you could give there. I'm also curious. So, we want to attribute human traits to objects.
Mhm.
So, why do you think that is the reason? Why do human instinctively attribute or project human qualities to machines, especially and algorithms? Let's just forget about objects. Let's dive into AI and the machines and the algorithms.
Well, artificial intelligence, AI systems are particularly well suited to this human tendency. It's a human tendency from the beginning of human history. I mean,
Mm.
we can trace it back, millennia. We
Ah.
can trace it back, 3 million years ago. I mean, that's just the evidence, but we also assume that it had persisted before that. Humans, it was originally, it had to do with rituals and religious practices and divination practices,
Mhm.
right? That this was
Yes.
the way that we might say that the sun is speaking to me, right? The
Yeah.
earth is speaking to me. And this is not just a fantasy. It also was based in very specific, and I think it's a really interesting thing that today's session is about in South America as well,
Mhm.
is that particular divination practices, we know about them in Mesopotamia, we know about them in India, in China, but they also very profoundly existed in South America, in
Yes.
places where people were looking for some sign
Mhm.
what to do and how to behave, and having a very different relationship with nature. So in
Mhm.
many cultures, right, in many indigenous
Mhm.
cultures, in many indigenous belief systems, also the relationship of a human to other things in nature is the same as a relationship between humans, because it's a very different way of viewing the world. If I
Mhm.
considered a tree or the river
Yeah.
my living relative,
Mhm.
then it now is very easy for me to put those attributes that I would give to a human on those things as well. And so it feeds each other. They go back and forth. It's not about a right or a wrong, or
Yes.
what was correct or not correct. It is a tendency in humans, and AI utilizes that tendency for engagement.
Yes.
If the system, because that is the definition of the Turing test, by the way,
Mhm.
for
Mhm.
people who are, again, and not everybody is aware, the Turing test was the
Mhm.
test for the original test for artificial intelligence, which
Yes.
was basically, could that system convince a human user
Mhm.
that it was actually a human? It was not a machine, it was a human.
Mhm. That's right.
And so it is anthropomorphizing. It is, in an essence, it is saying we are projecting these things, and we're going to embed the system with enough information from humans that it will convincingly, it convince the user without question that it is
Mhm.
another human being the person is interacting with.
Wow. Wow. What soaked in is when you gave an example from the ancient days. When you traced it back to how humans have been doing that since time and ago. And it's not only in South America, we've done it here in Africa, we've done it in Asia, everywhere in the world. That is one outstanding thing about history. Human beings always attribute something to a form of nature, or make it a god, or make it a companion. And relating this to AI, it only makes sense.
And it's
You know,
also not, and just
yeah,
one
yeah,
little add on there, it
yeah.
is not just because nature is also a living, right?
Yes.
It's biologically living.
Hmm. Yeah.
The thing, the really important piece with AI
Hmm.
systems is that is not an organic living system.
That's right.
Right?
Yeah.
And a boat is not an
Mhm.
organic living system, or a bicycle. So it is, it is much more understandable to see our tendency to do this with nature than
Yes.
it is with objects. And yet that has always existed as well.
Very, very true. Let's just shift gears to the human
Sure.
side of things. And should AI be created to seem more like human, or does it raise ethical concerns? Do you think that is a question of ethics?
Oh, it's a huge question of ethics.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of the major questions of ethics, but it's also my first question to, I very seldom answer a question with a question,
Yeah.
but on this one, I have to say, my question always is why?
Mm,
Why do we want? Can we do it? Do people
yes,
want to do that? Absolutely. Are they
absolutely.
doing it? Are they doing it more and more and more? Absolutely. The
Mm,
question is why, who benefits, who is harmed,
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
and who is harmed intentionally and or unintentionally. And so
mm,
what AI ethics is, just AI ethics in a nutshell, is identifying who does this system benefit,
yes.
who does this system, because it's human centered is not enough, it's humanity centered, right? So which part of humanity does this benefit, which humanity part of this humanity does it harm? And it's not because, I don't want to be vilifying or casting, aspersions on anybody who designs a system that has it, because so much of what
Mm-hmm,
happens in harm, unfortunately, is done unintentionally. People go, well, that's not what
mm,
we intended it to be. The reality, the sad reality there is,
yes.
it's like any other apology. The apology only matters if I fix
Yeah.
the behavior.
After the damage has been done.
Exactly.
Yeah, let
Exactly.
me soothe the heart. Maybe. Yes.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And so, yes, these are, I mean, to me, this is the focus of my current work.
Mm,
It is one of the probably central to the focus of my current work. I have of other things. I've been in AI ethics now for a decade. So,
yeah.
I mean, I'm an older person, so I've had many other careers, but a decade is much longer than most people have been even aware of artificial
Yeah.
intelligence, even though
Exactly.
AI has been around for 70. It's the 70th anniversary of AI, and
Yes.
most people are just not aware. But yes, so these are really prime basic ethics issues.
Mm. You've mentioned you've had, I'd call it a wealth of experience. A decade is a wealth of experience in ethics. And this is just a follow-up question to you. What are some of the changes you have seen with ethics, especially with just the sudden eruption of AI? What have you seen within that
I
period?
love your question. I love this question, Lynn. I love
Yeah.
this question because it has not happened at the speed of the innovation,
Hmm.
because it would be impossible to do that at the moment.
Yes.
What I have seen, which makes me so happy, is that
Hmm.
we're actually having this conversation, Lynn.
Mm.
What makes me so happy is that you actually have even heard of AI ethics, and it's not that because you may have been in it much longer than me, even. But the
Yes.
fact is that the majority of people now are hearing that. When I first came into the field, I
Hmm.
didn't even know what AI ethics was. I
Hmm.
didn't know what an AI ethicist did.
Yes.
Because so what I have seen is I
Mhm.
have seen it be AI ethics become a much more validated practice, an essential practice. I have seen finally, and I have called for this for all the years I've been in it, because I'm not an engineer. I'm actually a psychologist. I have been calling for social scientists who, and God bless social scientists,
Yes.
psychologists who are marketers. But I'm not talking about marketing psychology, because that's trying to convince you to do something.
Yes.
I'm talking about psychologists who practice human well-being. That is right. And I've been calling for this over and over. We finally now, I turn around and I see people, who are in this, and who are human and AI interaction, who are psychologists, who are practicing psychologists. And I get so excited right now,
Yes.
because that is part of what we need, as well as we need journalists. We need citizens. We
All
need
right.
stakeholders. So we're seeing more people from different backgrounds. And
Yeah.
also, what I'm also seeing, which is very exciting to me, is the increase of invitation to people from cultures normally not included.
All right.
Right?
Interesting.
Because it's such a homogenous, English based only kind of practice to begin with. And this shift to beginning to say, no, we have to be including the whole world. We have
Yes.
to be including people from the whole world in all the continents and all the cultures. And that to me is also very exciting in AI ethics. It's very encouraging and exciting.
Yes. I'm looking at our time and it's very short, but just close us with one brief takeaway. What would you tell the world regarding to this topic? Just one brief remark.
Be very, 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 very careful with any interaction you have with an AI system. Put up Post-it notes. I don't care if they're Post-it notes. I don't care if they're alarms,
Yes.
reminding us that we are interacting with a
Yes.
system. It's a machine. It's not that it's like we can do all kinds of interesting things with it and
Right.
play with it, but be really, really, really aware. And this is it doesn't matter how intelligent you are. It doesn't matter how experienced you are. That the
Yes.
thing that is most important, be aware you're interacting with a machine at all times.
All right, all right. And that is a powerful close off. Be careful. And Marisa, we were very happy to have you. And I'm also inviting you to She Summit. We need to know, learn more of what you're doing. And over to you, GatherVerse team. I'll gather as well for this fireside chat.
Beautiful.
Thank
Thank you
you.
so much for having me, Lynn.
You're welcome.